Okay, thank you. It's ridiculous that we continue to have these virtual hearings when most of us, if not all, vaccinated. But that said, my questions. Mr. Sicardi, what I was going to ask was a lot about justice and environmental justice and climate justice. Section 435 of the Clean Future Act would require the states to consider allowing utility companies to recover from ratepayers any capital operating expenditure or other costs of the electric utility relating to load management programs or investments associated with the integration of electric vehicle supply equipment into the grid. In layman's terms, the electric companies can build whatever cost they want to into the related to the electric vehicles, and everyone with electricity service has to pay the bill. Is that just? Would it be just that a single mom that only takes the public bus has to pay for electric vehicle charging stations if she has electricity in her home? Would that be just?
We think it's a problem. We don't think utilities should be able to rate base for charging equipment. As I said a few times, it will not only pass the cost on to consumers that don't have EVs, but on top of that, it'll crowd out private capital.
Well, it's also interesting to note that the AARP agrees with you on that. Some minority groups agree with that. I keep trying to bring up the fact that they keep talking about climate justice, environmental justice, but there's also a problem with energy poverty, energy justice, economic justice, and they don't seem to be concerned about that. That energy cost is the most inflationary component of our economy, and it's going to have an enormous negative impact on low-income families, their ability to heat and cool their homes. I raised the example of Pembroke Township in Illinois, a town of 2,100 people. 80% of them are African American. They don't have natural gas. Yet my Democrat colleagues all are opposed to natural gas. They don't want it. Yet the Reverend Jesse Jackson is working to get a natural gas pipeline into Pembroke Township so that those people can stop having to heat their homes with propane or, in a lot of cases, with wood-burning stoves. Would you agree that the Reverend Jackson is doing the right thing to try to address energy injustice and economic injustice by getting a natural gas pipeline into that community?
Well, I would say one of the things our industry has focused on since its inception was trying to get the lowest cost energy to consumers. And I think consumers deserve that. It helps our economy. That's our focus. The last 3 years have been the lowest inflation adjusted gasoline prices in our history. So I think consumers have options for all sorts of fuel types to get them the lowest cost of energy.
So if I understand what you're saying is you don't want a low-income family to pull up your gas pump and have to make a decision on how much gas they can put in their tank because they're deciding between being able to get to and from whatever job they have and putting food on the table or helping pay for their kids' school. You want to keep these prices low because you understand how it impacts individuals up and down the income scale. Is that right?
America wins when we have low energy prices for all consumers. And yes, that's I'm not against electric vehicles. That I want my colleagues on the committee to understand that. But this bill, like many of the other green initiatives, they take choice away from Americans and they pick winners and losers. And we've seen it with the Keystone XL pipeline. We've seen what's happened to the union pipe workers versus the green activists. And I just don't think we need to have politics involved in the decision making. And we certainly shouldn't be subsidizing millionaires' ability to buy Teslas at the expense of lower income people who are driving used vehicles and not being able to pay their own household bills, living in homes that are colder than they need to be, especially people who are susceptible to respiratory diseases and cardiovascular. I just think that we're once again going down the wrong track with this. And again, I'm not against electric vehicles. I'm for fairness. I'm for justice
particularly for people who are often overlooked when it comes to justice. And I yield back.